Hello, my Fandrews. I'm not really a YouTuber, but I feel like you need a name. So, you, who I'm talking to, are my Fandrews. This is Alton. He's a Fandrew, too. He's the biggest. Are you the best Fandrew? Yes, you are. You want to be on camera, don't you? Yes. Okay. Go lay down. Yeah. Good boy. Okay, so we have been in quarantine here at Casa Andrew for nearly 2 months. And we've been out shopping, grocery shopping, I want to say 3 times in that 2 months. And we found all of the essentials for living, with the exception of hand sanitizer. Now, when we started this shelter in place, we had mini bottles of the store-bought Purell. But as you can see, these bottles are empty. And as you may or may not know, sometimes it's not the easiest for me to wash my hands with soap and water. When I transfer in and out of my wheelchair, I end up touching a lot of things because I use my hands. So I do like to have a good supply of the alcohol-based hand sanitizer. So when it became clear that we weren't going to be able to buy off-the-shelf hand sanitizer, I began to think, well, and I watched YouTube videos that showed how to make DIY hand sanitizers. The big problem there was that all of the recipes that are approved by organizations such as the Centers for Disease Control or the World Health Organization all start with an alcohol solution that has greater than 60% alcohol by volume. And if you go and watch other videos, they will tell you, the reputable ones will tell you, that you can't use things like vodka because it's only 40% alcohol by volume. So I began to think, well, what could we do to get some alcohol that is greater than 60% alcohol by volume? Unfortunately, the stores here in the Bay Area where we live are all sold out of the only product that is not isopropyl alcohol, which would be ethanol, and you would buy it in the form of Everclear. And in California, the highest you can go on Everclear is 151 proof, or about 75% alcohol. That would technically be high enough to make some hand sanitizer, but just barely. And it doesn't matter because it's all sold out everywhere. I've looked online, I have looked in liquor stores when I've gone out, which is, like I said, only been out 3 times, and had a hard time, didn't have any luck finding any alcohol that we could make hand sanitizer with. So about 2.5 weeks ago, I got the idea, hey, wait a minute, we have lots of ethanol in the house that we don't use. Jody and I don't drink anymore, but at one time we used to have parties, and so we bought lots of alcohol. So I estimate that we have about a gallon of what I would consider cheap booze, cheap, clear alcohol, meaning vodka, meaning, what else have we got over there?
Yeah, let me take a shot.
Bacardi.
Stop talking.
And what else is over there? Tequila. Yeah. So here we have a collection of candidate alcohols. Almost all of those alcohols are 40% alcohol by volume. And so the trick is, how do you take that, which has the right kind of alcohol in it, but raise the alcohol level, or decrease the water, however you want to look at it, so that you have a solution that is greater than 60% and ideally greater than 80% alcohol by volume. And the only real practical answer to do that is to use a still. And so I had been aware, because I watched a lot of YouTube videos, that they make a still sort of appliance for your kitchen that you can just dump alcohol solution in and it will distill out the alcohol. I don't have any experience with a still. I don't have any experience with this product. I don't even know if it's going to do what I want it to do, but I think it will. So, like I said, about 3 weeks ago on Amazon, I ordered one of these things and it came this week. So, this weekend, Jody and I, my lovely assistant, Pan, are going to set the still up. We are going to, there were a few other things that you're going to need to do this and to be safe. I'll just go over those really quickly. The World Health Organization recipe for ethanol-based hand sanitizer calls for 3% hydrogen peroxide, which we happen to have. I don't want to tell you what the expiration date on the back is because it may not be good, but I'll look into that. You also need some glycerin. This I ordered on Amazon and it actually came relatively quickly. I want to say a full week before the still showed up. So we've had this now for a while. A funnel is going to be a good idea because you're going to be dealing with a flammable liquid that you need to measure the alcohol content of. And then the last thing, other than the still, is you're going to need a hydrometer. And specifically, you want a hydrometer that is calibrated for measuring percentage of alcohol, which I also ordered on Amazon and came relatively quickly. So in here is a glass hydrometer, as well as a glass cylinder for testing the strength of your alcohol. So I'm going to open these things up off camera. I'll show them to you as we're using them. I don't really believe in unboxing videos, so you'll just have to trust me. That's what's in here. Okay, so here we have it. This is the air still. It was about $200 delivered. Like I said, it took about 3 weeks to arrive. It says it holds a gallon, which is good because I think that's about how much alcohol we have to dump into it. Nothing really useful on the packaging for this video. So we're going to unbox it and we're going to set it up. And we'll pick back up this video when we're loading it up before we begin the still. And we'll show you some of it in action if we can. Oh, you're fine.
Compact and sleek. Oh, of course.
Caution sticker. What does the caution sticker say? Don't eat the styrofoam? Nothing like the squeaky, awful sound of styrofoam rubbing on styrofoam. Unless, of course, you have some chalkboard and some fingernails. Okay, Judy, so how do you use the still? Okay, so before we get started, I want to make sure that this hydrometer is accurate. So we're going to start with just plain, this is water that came out of our reverse osmosis system, so hopefully it doesn't have any alcohol in it, but let's find out. And according to the hydrometer, it has 0% alcohol. Okay, so here we have some very cheap vodka. No disrespect to the Swedes who made it. It's rated on the bottle at 40% alcohol by volume. We've had this bottle at least 10 years, maybe 15. It's been open that whole time. Of course, it has a cap on it. I don't know whether any of the alcohol has evaporated off. So we're going to use it as our test sample to see, does it still have 40% alcohol in it? So we're going to pour some in here. Well, it smells like vodka or a very dry martini. I don't know that there actually is a difference between just vodka and a dry martini, but we won't go into that. So here we go. We're going to see, is this 40% alcohol by volume? Drop our... Hey!
Looks pretty good.
Looks very good. Looks like actually 41 or 42% alcohol by volume 15 to 20 years later. Okay, so we're starting with this bottle, and Jody, why don't you go grab the other bottles? Okay, so these are all of the bottles of open booze that we're never going to drink, and they're all 40% alcohol by volume on their label, except for this cheap Swedish lemon vodka, which is only 30% alcohol by volume. Don't ask me why. This Absolute vodka, can you see it in the camera? Is 40% alcohol by volume and is flavored. Do I think the flavorings and the fact that we're going to be mixing booze makes a difference in terms of making hand sanitizer? No, I don't think it does. Is anybody going to taste it to find out whether the flavorings come through? No, nobody's going to taste it. Neither one of us are that brave or dumb or any of those things. We're just going to distill it, and then we will measure the alcohol by volume after it's been run through. We'll take a couple of measurements along the way to make sure that it's staying above where we need it, and if we have to, we'll shut the process down early. But my expectation is that it'll start out at a fairly high alcohol by volume. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get 90% alcohol by volume, and it'll over time decrease in alcohol by volume to somewhere around 60. And then we may have to distill it a second time through the machine to get it up as high as we want, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll get you some shots once it starts running. Okay, just so you don't think we're crazy, we do have a fire extinguisher. It will be off camera most of the time, we hope. Okay, so we're gonna give you a little tour of the still and how to fill it. The first step is unplug the top from the base and then pry the top off the base.
And there's the rubber gasket here.
That helps keep the vapors in. And then the bottom is essentially just a boiler. And it has a fill line that you can fill it to, right there. And so we're gonna fill it with alcohol. We're gonna let it run. We'll take some samples along the way and let you know how it goes.
Glug, glug, glug. Into the tub.
You want that on the rocks? I want it on my hands. Sanitizing hands. That's some good looking punch you're making.
Make that a double.
Yeah, at least. Okay, that's bottle number 1.
How full
Are you feeling anything yet? You feeling anything yet, Jode?
Nope. Nope.
What are we gonna pour next?
This is gonna be some Bacardi.
Yeah.
Bacardi Superior.
Yum, yum. Here we go. A little bit more, tiny bit. Okay, there you go. Okay, we're full. This is 1 gallon of mixed alcohol.
Heavily mixed.
Very mixed. You want a mixed drink? This is it. All relatively clear alcohol, so hopefully we won't get any burning or anything like that. So we're ready to put the top back on, turn it on, and let it rip.
Cross our fingers.
Says it takes roughly 2 hours. Like I said, we'll check in along the way.
Press down. I want to make sure it's secure. Plug it in.
Past the white line, it says.
Yep. That's the white line. That's the white line.
Okay, let's take a time check. According to this not very accurate wall clock, it is 2:09. So by 4 o'clock we should have booze. Jody's lining up a glass. We hope that'll work. If it doesn't, we'll figure something else out. But it is the moonshiner's glass of choice. That is a ball jar. And I guess as soon as she plugs it in, we are officially moonshiners.
I think it's gonna make some noise.
Yeah, I do too. Oh yeah, listen to that. Makes a lot of noise.
Not terrible though.
Well, I think it is, but
I was expecting more of a.
let's come in close.
It sounds like a hairdryer.
Yeah, sounds like a hairdryer on low. Okay, half-hour update. We have yet to see our first drop of booze. So we'll check back in another half hour. We have dripping and the smell of alcohol in the room at approximately an hour. We'll let you know when we've collected enough of a sample to measure the alcohol by volume. Okay, we have a steady stream. We're collecting a sample for testing. We'll let you know shortly how it goes. Okay, the very first distillate is coming in at right around 85%. Okay, we're at the 2-hour mark and it's still coming out pretty slowly. The alcohol by volume has dropped a little bit. We're down to 82% alcohol, something like that. I don't know if you can see that or not. So we're going to keep running. So we're coming up on 2 hours and 40 minutes and the rate that it's coming out has slowed to a slower drip. At its height, it was a very weak stream. The last batch I measured was still coming off at about 80% alcohol by volume. So we'll just let it run a little bit longer here and then we'll probably call it. We've collected probably close to 48 ounces, 50 ounces, something like that. So we'll check in again here when we shut it off. Okay, it's a new day and we've decided to take the alcohol that we stilled off yesterday, which probably average all totaled ended up being 2 quarts at about a little over like 77% alcohol by volume when we combined it all together. So we decided we would run that 2 quarts through the machine a second time to see if we could end up with a higher concentration of alcohol. The World Health Organization recipe calls for 95% pure ethanol. I don't know whether this machine will get that high, but we're going to find out. So we're collecting our first sample for the day, and I will measure it and let you know what we find. Okay guys, I wanted to just give you a final update on the air still and let you know that we ended up taking the output of the first run and we had a little bit more alcohol and we ran it a second time and we ended up with what looks like a little over a liter of alcohol, 89.5% by volume. I don't think the still will get you up to 95%, or at least I couldn't figure out how to get it to do that. So about a liter. Then there's a smaller jar, which I called my second cut. It came out at 84.5%. And then I just let the rest of it run until I thought we were just getting water coming out, and that came out at 52%. By volume. That could get repitched again, as could the 84 to get us up to 89. Probably not going to do that right now. If we have more alcohol, might do that then. I just wanted to show you two other things. One is, this is what was left in the pot after the distillation, and you can see it. The hydrometer says basically there's no alcohol left in that. In theory, that should be water and some flavorings. If you smell it, it smells very strongly of the raspberry that was the raspberry vodka that went into this mix. That's just a cup from the pot, and here is the pot, and you can see that there's a couple inches of what basically is water in the bottom. So that's going to wrap up our use of the air still to make high proof alcohol. You can watch on my wife's channel as she makes hand sanitizer out of the 89% alcohol that we made. Hope you enjoyed.